All right, so the Minister of Truth, the Man of Truth, I think it's the Minister of Truth, T-Mont, who I normally agree with about 90% of the time, probably. I just wanted to do a video explaining why. Okay, there were two things he said in that video. I just want to get straight to it that I disagreed with vehemently, but I don't judge him. I'm not trying to force. I'm not trying to say you have to have my opinion. I don't particularly care if you have my opinion or not. I just thought I would share it with you. That's it. And that's really all it is. I'm just one fat guy talking to another guy and just laying it out there. What I believe, what you believe, we can figure out where we go from there. First of all, let me go ahead and stipulate the fact that, yes, I am gay. And no, that does not mean I'm having gay sex. Because I know how people think on this issue. It gets real complicated because you have to be able to make distinctions. And oftentimes people don't make distinctions. It's a lot like libertarianism. They think, because you support, no drug war, that you want people to do drugs. People have an inability to make distinctions in this, not this country, in this world. Nobody can make any distinctions about anything, and it's irritating. But anyways, back to the issue at hand, which gay marriage is not really the issue. It's just about homosexuality. It's actually the issue. T-Mont said that his beliefs, his faith, tells him that homosexuality is a sin. And what he's really saying there is that his Bible says that homosexuality is a sin. That is, biblically speaking, completely false. And that is that heterosexuality is as neutral as homosexuality. That is, they're not acts. They don't require an act of sex, which could be a sin, in order to make it a sin. In other words, someone who's homosexual may have never had sex and may never have sex. Someone who's heterosexual may never have had sex and may never have sex. It happens. So how can sexuality be a sin? Answer, it can't, because it's not an act. So it's very important to distinguish exactly what it is that is a sin and what's not a sin within the context of your religion or your faith. Now, if you read the basic King James Bible and you read those handful of scriptures that judge and condemn people for engaging in various acts of sex, discarding Sodom and Gomorrah because it had nothing to do with homosexual sex, it had to do with rape, at least in my interpretation. Okay, what we can say from the Bible is that homosexual acts are considered a sin. Now, I don't agree with you, but that's because I bought another book, which went through all those passages and said, you know what, we really don't know much about it because the Bible, it isn't clear. In one case, it's talking about something else. We're not sure what it's talking about. We don't even have a word for the word homosexuality as we understand it today. So, what is homosexuality? He said in his video that he teaches his children against homosexuality. You can't teach your children against any sort of sexuality. They're gonna be interested in whatever they're interested in. And so, if, a good example was when he was saying when the woman came to the door dressed as a man. There's a false assumption there that children are so gullible, weak, that they're going to see this woman dressed as a man and suddenly morph into a lesbian. I mean, it's fear. It's fear, and that's my opinion. But to me, it's asinine. It's stupid. It's fear. That's all that it is. It has nothing to do with the Bible. It has nothing to do with faith. It's just fear. Fear that someone's going to come in and change your daughter, change your son. And the fear of your children changing into what you don't want them to be is irrespective of whether or not this person comes into your home or not. But that's a whole other issue, getting into parenting probably. I don't have the headspace to get into that stuff. But so it's just it's a fun topic, not really. It's something I deal with all the time here in Oklahoma. But buckle the Bible belt. People run around talking about homosexuality is a sin. Homosexuality is a sin. And I'm just like, that is some bull crap. Homosexuality is completely neutral. It's not a sexual act, therefore it cannot be a sin. Period. End of discussion. There's simply no other way of looking at it. And there are religious scholars you can check out on this who will agree with me. Homosexuality is not a sin. Therefore, we need to stop making such a big deal about it, especially in the churches. Because let me tell you something. As someone who is part of the 3% who are gay, or I'm sorry, homosexual, going to church was absolutely the worst thing I could have done. It's supposed to be a place you go to figure out how to live your life the best way possible, to pursue goals, to pursue the best path forward. What they should be teaching the 1 to 3% who are homosexual is how best to live with their given orientation. And every church is going to come to different conclusions on this. My personal opinion is that gay people are best finding one person, preferably, and marrying them. That, to me, that if it works for heterosexuals, why wouldn't it work for homosexuals? And it's so important to understand that, of course, it's not going to change. That's another thing. They jump into this idea that, well, homosexuality is a sin. So then, but yet some don't believe you're born that way, but then they say you have to pray to change. Well, if you have to pray to change, then how can they not be born that way? If some gay people will kill themselves or mutilate their bodies because they're gay. So where I get frustrated in this is then when I go that route, then they go, well, you're not born gay. And then when it's convenient, suddenly you are born that way and then you have to change. And it sort of flips around. It's this Rick Santorum ignorance. They don't know what they're really talking about. They don't know any way around it. They don't know how to fix it. They just know it's wrong. And so they're grasping for straws, and they just start throwing out these platitudes. And it's offensive to someone who is gay and has dealt with it and has come to the best conclusion that they can in their life. And they have to sit there and listen to this jackwagon talking about BS, and they have no idea what they're talking about. It's so irritating. And like I said, I deal with it all the time here in a Bible Belt. So I'm losing my voice. I think that's about it. I just really, what I'm suggesting here, out of everything, I'm not trying to force anything, because I agree with T-Mott. I can't stand where people try to force you to do or say or believe anything, and I get that. It's freaking annoying. It gets old real quick, and everyone's doing it, but usually they're trying to use government force or, some other third party to come in and force you to agree with them on something, which is completely stupid. You can't force anyone to agree with anything. So all I'm saying is just to understand that homosexuality is not a sin, because it can't be a sin any more than heterosexuality presumes sexual activity. That is, they're just, bisexuality, heterosexuality, homosexuality are not acts of sex. Therefore, they cannot be a sin. Now, you could get into the weeds and saying, if you even think of having gay sex, then you're sinning. Well, if that's the case, then if a heterosexual even thinks about having premarital sex, then everyone's a sinner anyway. So what's the diff? I mean, we could go 15 ways from Sunday on that stuff. No pun intended, but yeah. So I think that's pretty much it. The rest of the stuff, I mostly agree with T-Mott, on politics and, the BS race wars, all that stuff. And they're just trying to keep us divided and cite crap. And other than that, I'm just going to say, hopefully Ron Paul can go third party, because like him, I can't stand the current Republican Party. But, oh well, what can you do? See ya.